Talk shoes.
Recorded live.
776, also the Chatmosphere.
Chatosphere.
At PWRShow.com, live chat, along with the forum. And you can even email us using the comment links at PWRShow.com. Meathead and Frank, it is the WWE draft. We see it once a year. While probably not as popular as the PWR draft, it is popular nonetheless. We've seen some moves so far. We've seen some matches so far. We're going to give you live coverage as throughout the rest of Raw here tonight. We'll be talking about all the draft picks, and let's not waste any time and talk about the people picked so far. The first pick of the night was the United States champion MVP Montel Vontavious Porter to Raw from SmackDown with the U.S. Championship belt.
The P is potential for me. This guy is...
What P?
MVP.
Okay. Okay, hey,
you
didn't
play
you
up.
can start off with the M. You can start with a V.
Here, we're in a celebration. I'm making a point, and you cut me off even before I even say anything.
I was confused. I'm just trying to help, but you know what?
You were
born.
What?
Wait a minute. I forgot to say the most important line that needs to be said tonight.
I don't know what we're yelling about.
That's it. That's our line.
It's time to shake things up again.
No, Frank, all I was doing was for the listeners who also might have been confused. I'm just trying to ask.
P, potential?
Okay. The P
and
MVP.
As you were saying,
we
Frank.
have some very...
What does the M and the V
Frankly speaking,
stand for,
Frank, most valuable player. No ER. Drop the ER at A. Frank, go.
Potential.
His mic is off now.
This guy has a lot of potential. Going to Raw is a step up for him because it's a live show, and it just adds something different to Raw. I like the move. I like MVP. I think he's got just a lot of talent, and it's a good first pick.
Meathead, your thoughts? MVP to Raw with the United States Championship, which means now the United States and Intercontinental titles are both on Raw, at least for now.
All right, here, my mic's on now. Just playing. I did that on purpose, Dragon. Relax. All the belts are not gonna. Yeah, all the belts are not gonna stay. By the way, I love this commercial for those watching in the States here with Cena and McMahon. Back to 5, Meathead.
We encourage you, by the way, before you give your thoughts on MVP to Raw, we encourage you guys to be watching Raw right along with us, listening on your computer or on the radio to our live coverage of the of the WWE draft.
Yeah. Anyway, Frank, again, I apologize. I really do sincerely apologize this time because you said the P. I didn't know if we were talking about some other P, or you could have started off by saying, you know what, the P in MVP to me stands for potential. But you kind of just, it was going on in your head, but only part of it came out in your mouth. That's where I was confused. I may be the only one.
Why are you trying to justify, yo?
I may be the only one. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I don't want to get a pen in the eye like I did the last time.
I don't got anything to throw right now. My keys.
Anyways, MVP on Raw. I don't know if the potential, because it's a live show, makes a difference. These guys are definitely under wraps. They are controlled. They're performers on a show. The last person that had a live mic that might have been out of control on Raw, his name was Big Papa Pump. Other than that, they are trained puppies.
They are, but Raw, and we all believe this, is the better show. Because it's live, the fans are into it more. They might have the better wrestlers, but it's the better show. And to me, when a wrestler gets moved over there, it's a step up. So MVP is, I think, a solid.
As we watch WWE Live, Raw Live right now, I'm glad to see WrestleMania had more people than Madonna's concert at Dolphin Stadium. Talk about reaching.
Yeah. I mean, the other three are big events. You know, there was NCAA.
Yeah, but how many does it hold? Did the Super Bowl not sell out?
Huh?
You can't compare WrestleMania to the Super Bowl. It's a venue. Couldn't hold the same amount of people.
It's all about tweaking the numbers, Holmes. It's all about
As The Miz and Morrison come out for a tag team match, which could be one of their last tag team matches, let's continue to talk about the draft picks from tonight. Melina,
and apparently, by the way, Damien, on Raw, they don't use the slow-mo because there hasn't been a slowdown. Melina, as you were saying,
is on our way to SmackDown with the Women's Championship. So now on Raw, we've got the U.S. and Intercontinental title. On SmackDown, good to see Joey doesn't have a nosebleed anymore.
It's Josh, by the way.
Now on the way to SmackDown is Melina with the women's title, meaning Divas and women's belts, both on SmackDown. Again, your thoughts?
You're giving opinions on stuff that is mid-coitus, if you will. Right now we have the women's and the Diva on SmackDown. On Raw, we have the U.S., the World, the Heavyweight, the United States. You have the Tag Champions will be there shortly. You've got the Big Show. You've got Matt Hardy. I mean, you have everything. Again, this kind of thing balances itself out. Remember when you had Batista show up on SmackDown on a final edition, when you had Cena on Raw coming from SmackDown, 2 belts, but it will balance itself out.
Francis Molina.
Frank is not Francis Molina. Leave him alone.
This could be the earliest you've reached the point of obnoxiousness on the show.
The women's wrestling is average, obviously, in my opinion, for WWE, and whether it's on Raw or SmackDown. Melina, she gives it her all, but SmackDown, Raw, it doesn't matter to me.
The biggest move so far tonight,
really
Big Show to Raw, back to Raw.
That's a play on words, by the way. If you really want to talk about the meaninglessness of drafts or draft picks, the draft in itself, because they play these silly little rules back and forth where guys will be on different shows. I mean, now with only one set of tag team belts,
right.
and held by the Colons, the Colon guys, does that mean they're going to go from brand to brand? Because remember when the brands started off, the heavyweight champion was the only one that moved from brand to brand, or the champions, whoever held belts, moved from brand to brand, and then Brock Lesnar signed an exclusive deal with SmackDown. Brock Lesnar signed an exclusive deal with SmackDown, and that's how the World Heavyweight Championship was brought back out by Bischoff, given to Triple H, and so forth. So again, they'll make some silly rules. Why do we make such a big deal about brands being exclusive to a brand, fighting for a brand, his first time on the brand since whatever? They're on all the shows anyway.
Not everybody. We've had this argument many a time. Tonight it's about the draft. Frank, Big Show to SmackDown, or to Raw rather. Is this a blow to SmackDown? They've already lost MVP in the Big Show.
Well, as I've talked about in the past, with Big Show, you've got to find guys that could match him that makes sense.
Well, Rey Mysterio.
Right. Well, obviously that doesn't work out well. So at the moment, over on Raw is Kane, which you kind of got when Big Show did come out. He did kind of give the point.
Is Kane on ECW? Yeah, I think Kane's on ECW. That's the point I'm really trying to make.
Okay, then I screwed up.
No, it's difficult to track, especially with a lot of these names, specifically Miz and Morrison. I think technically they're on ECW, but literally they're on every show every week.
But so now you're looking for someone that can match up with him. Because, yeah, you can have the Rey Mysterios and go, okay, yeah, let's make that work. But eventually you do have to have someone that can work with him in the ring. And at the moment, without really knowing full Raw roster, who does Big Show match up with? Batista?
Mike Knox's beard.
Raw?
He is an animal.
Mike Knox's beard.
Ooh.
There you go.
Better beard, Peter Griffin when he had a beard, or Mike Knox?
Well, Peter Griffin had things living inside his beard.
A la Mick Foley?
Kind of like Vicky Guerrero's beard.
Wow!
One that she's growing
Who hit her with what ugly brick tonight?
She fell down the ugly tree and hit every branch.
Dang! I mean, wow!
And Damian is one that has said, actually, that he gets a little excited
by
the sight of Vicky Guerrero.
Will you stop? The next move was Matt Hardy coming from SmackDown to Raw. Matt Hardy, now a Raw superstar.
Excuse the reference, and I apologize if you're offended, but looking a little P-tarded, if you will.
Oh, what does the P mean?
No. We were doing Family Guy. There was an episode called P-tarded.
I haven't seen them all.
He looked a little special, like his mom thinks he's special.
Touched, if you will. That's how they say it in the South.
Frank, that's where you go.
Matt Hardy,
I don't know
he's got this big feud going on now.
No, that's where you go to Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy's got this big feud going on with Jeff Hardy right now, obviously over on SmackDown. Moving him to Raw doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
No, it doesn't. And in that one, when I saw that, now I'm trying to figure out now who's going to move over to SmackDown and ECW. What's really interesting to me is the first ECW pick. Is someone going to get actually drafted? And who's drafting for ECW?
Well,
they're randomized.
It's
Frank?
just a random thing.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's not the way that it's being explained.
Oh, well, Frank, it's World Wrestling Entertainment.
Yeah, but I mean, they're making it sound like someone
Frank,
is actually
They
picking.
it's a randomizer, and they've actually explained that if you win a match for your brand, and this is how you know exactly what brand they're on tonight, because they're wrestling for a brand. When you win a
tonight
match,
being the key word.
When you win a match, that brand gets a randomized pick. You get a person out of the WWE talent pool. Teddy Atlas is in the pool. Josh Matthews is in the pool. Teddy Atlas.
Tony.
I said Tony. I was trying to copy
Denny.
Damian.
Lenny.
Yeah.
Denny.
They're all in the talent pool. I mean, you can end up drafting Shane McMahon to SmackDown, but it won't matter.
But remember, the last couple of years, ECW got a big pick to carry the brand. It was Chris Benoit, the first draft, I believe,
Correct.
when ECW was around. Then it was Kane. Then I think Finlay was considered one of the big draft picks as well for ECW. I would expect that trend to continue with one big name going over to ECW. But quite frankly, do they have a big name already in Jack Swagger, who had a match with John Cena tonight?
Jack 1, Jack 2.
He is the two-time All-American, in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
You better call somebody. Speaking of calling, we are live Monday night, April 13, 2009. You can reach us on the PWR phone lines here in the ESPN studios at 276-ESPN. Again, that's 276-3776. And also all over the world at 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-3776. Meathead, what do we have going on in the chatmosphere at PWRshow.com?
The Chatosphere's got a lot of action. A lot of people are wondering where Kennedy is. And apparently we've been digging around in Mike Knox's beard, and we found him.
No,
Kennedy,
we'd still be lost if we'd be like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, no. You hold on to one side so you don't fall, and you put a 2x4 on
We
your
heard
back.
recently that Kennedy may have his shoulder injury might be a little more severe than thought, and something he might be dealing with for the rest of his career. We saw Batista return to Raw last week, and we have speculated that maybe we'd see some Kennedy action at WrestleMania 25. That did not happen, so perhaps tonight is the night where we see Kennedy return as a result of a draft pick, and I think that would be pretty exciting.
They could do that if he does have an injury. He doesn't have to wrestle for the next couple of weeks or so, but he can come out, be drafted to whatever brand, and then...
Actually, I think it happened last year, didn't it? Right when he was coming back from another injury. I think he was drafted, he came out and did his thing, and that was it.
At least you know where he'll go to.
The next draft pick, a pretty big one. He went to SmackDown in the last draft. This time, he comes back to Raw. Home, as Michael Cole called it. It is Triple H with the WWE Championship back on Raw. Now, the last time we saw a World or WWE Champion get drafted, it was Cena and Batista who switched brands. Will we see that again? Does this mean now that the World Champion will go to SmackDown?
It's happened before, as we mentioned before, when Cena got drafted to Raw for the first time with a belt, keeping two belts on
Remember,
Raw.
it was the first draft pick as well. It was a way to really make a splash with that draft.
Yeah, and then they did the draft over two shows, and the final of the draft was on SmackDown. The final draft on SmackDown was Batista coming over with a belt to SmackDown, and it all balanced itself out. So.
And how about this match between Kofi Kingston and The Miz going on right now? This is much more impressive than what we thought was going to be a great match, Rey Mysterio versus Evan Bourne. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. Live coverage of the 2009 WWE Draft continues here on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
For the latest interviews, blogs, contests, and more, log on today to the all-new ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Dig out those bell bottoms, the ones with the peace sign patch. Start teasing your hair as high as it can possibly go. Find that neon shirt. Come on, you know you had one. Because you'll want to be in the full spirit of nostalgia as Potawatomi Bingo Casino springs through the decades, March 9th through April 30th. We're celebrating the days gone by with $600,000 in prizes, weekly drawings, music, and contests in the Northern Lights Theater, and so much more. Whether you headbanged, rocked around the clock, or did the hustle under the disco ball, reliving these memorable decades is sure to be the time of your life.
It's 2000s week at Potawatomi Bingo Casino, and it's going to be off the hook. Text your BFF, because on Saturday, we're giving away $45,000. For details, visit paysbig.com/decades or call 1-800-PAYS-BIG. Must be 21 and a Firekeepers Club member to participate. Management reserves all rights.
It's time to ask yourself this question. What are you going to do with your garden this year? Well, Miners Garden Center can help you big time. We've got ideas for your total yard cleanup, solutions for rejuvenating your old gardens, fertilizing, techniques for establishing planted beds. And now's the time to think about Miners' great selection of cold-resistant perennials and annuals that are ready for planting. Oh yes, trees and shrubs, nobody's got more to choose from than Miners. We know you've got gardening questions, and feel rest assured, Miners has the answers, all from our friendly, knowledgeable staff. Milwaukee consumers trust Miners Garden Center with all their gardening needs, and for good reason. Selection and great value. What are you going to be doing with your garden this year? Let Miners Garden Center help. We're at 7777 North 76th Street, right near 76th and Good Hope. Miners Garden Center, the greenest thumb of Milwaukee area garden centers.
Today's Midwest Airlines really knows what our hometown Milwaukee passengers need, and that always means a great schedule. On today's Midwest, you can now take advantage of additional non-stops to Orlando and Boston. It also means great savings like $127 one way to Atlanta when you book at MidwestAirlines.com. Seats are limited. Other restrictions apply. Today's Midwest. Great schedule, great savings, and always the best care in the air.
Right now, there's another great reason to visit KFC. For a limited time, get 10 pieces of mixed chicken for only $9.99. That's 10 pieces of delicious, original recipe mixed chicken made just the way you like it with the Colonel's secret formula of 11 herbs and spices for just $9.99. Make it a meal by adding mashed potatoes and gravy, coleslaw, and 4 freshly baked biscuits. So what are you waiting for? Hurry into your local KFC. This offer won't last long.
Life tastes better with KFC.
For a limited time at participating KFCs. Prices may vary. Tax and substitutions extra.
Greg Jennings here for Jeff Sports. My man Jeff is celebrating 25 years in the sports memorabilia business, and now he has 3 great locations. Stop out and see him at the newest store in Mayfair Mall, or the other 2 stores in Brookfield and Menominee Falls. See why Jeff Sports is the largest sports memorabilia store in Wisconsin. Come out and see their huge selection of sports apparel, autographs, and novelties. Just tell them Greg Jennings sent you. For more information, visit jeffsports.com. Jeff Sports, for the distinguished collector.
Talk Brewers all day long on 540 ESPN.
Doug Melvin, a man not known for his outlandish claims. What Doug Melvin says, generally you can take to the bank.
When I get upset, I take my hat off and I run my fingers through my hair. Hopefully I won't be doing that very much.
I don't care how you slice it and dice it, without CC and without Chief. I think the Brewers finish above 500, but they're not winning this division nor the Wild Card.
All you really want to hear is sports. 540 ESPN.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report. What is this that's playing? Anyways,
No,
welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report.
You know
on
exactly
540
what
ESPN.
this is.
No, I don't. I can barely hear it. I stepped out of the studio for a minute. Came back. You're playing some stuff.
No, you're the one that stepped into the
Wait,
control.
we got new picks going. This is live
We've got
coverage
a
of the
couple
2009 WWE Draft. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead and the Cause, here
Christian.
on ESPNMilwaukee.com, PWRShow.com, and 540 ESPN. The next person to go to SmackDown is Kane. Kane going to SmackDown after Edge winning the big battle royal here between 5 members of each brand on Raw tonight. One more pick goes to SmackDown. This is pretty big, as it's Kane.
Not really. The only thing that's big is the size of Kane. Remember, it's 2 picks. We're about to see another one. But, Damian, you know exactly. Don't try to blow it off, son. You know exactly what that music was that we came back to. Frank, you weren't here for the program. Damian Nelson is actually a fan of the Backstreet Boys. He has posters of the Backstreet Boys at his house, and he has been to their concerts. He liked it that way.
Like Burger King?
I like square butts.
I am not going to dignify your ignorance with a response. Another draft pick coming up. I've got this. Just put it down. WWE Draft 2009. The next pick for Smacky Wacky is Jericho.
Okay.
Chris Jericho goes to SmackDown.
Now it's starting to balance a little bit. Just there was too many raw
And that's
picks
how I
early.
didn't understand why we were going to talk about the unbalancedness. Unbalancedness?
Yeah,
is that a word?
It was kind of goofy that there was all those raw picks right away.
Like
Here's
I said,
what
it
we
always
have
works
so far.
itself out.
Here's what we have so far, and with this latest pick, Chris Jericho to SmackDown, he looks like he just doesn't care, as usual. MVP to Raw, along with The Big Show, Matt Hardy, Triple H, and The Miz, all to Raw. To SmackDown goes Melina, CM Punk, and Kane, and Chris Jericho. So actually, Frank, as you said, starting to look a little more balanced.
How is it? No. How is it balanced if ECW doesn't get anybody?
a little more balanced between the two brands.
ECW now it's just, what are we, an hour and a half in, and no ECW win unless you get one now in the next 20 minutes, and it would have to be a huge superstar to make it any sense right now.
There is a large number of people who we have not yet seen get moved or we have not heard from tonight. The Undertaker, who actually was in the match being taped for WWE Superstars, which premieres this Thursday on WGN America. That is going to feature Undertaker versus Matt Hardy with a Jeff Hardy run-in. Apparently a very good match again on Superstars this Thursday night. We haven't seen anything from Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Batista, obviously we saw him in the ring, Rey Mysterio. So a lot of big names. Edge still out there that could get moved around. But let's go over the rosters as they sit right now for both brands. And they are as follows. On Raw, we've got Batista, The Big Show, Charlie Haas, Cody Rhodes, Dolph Ziggler, Goldust, Jamie Noble.
Whoa, Dolph Ziggler.
He's on there. Goldust, Jamie Noble, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, John Cena, JTG, Kofi Kingston, Matt Hardy, Mike Knox, The Miz, MVP, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Santino, and Santina Marella, Shad Gaspard, Shawn Michaels, Tim Snuka, Ted DiBiase, Triple H, and William Regal. Over on the SmackDown side of things, here's who we have as of right now. D. Brian Kendrick, Carlito, Chavo Guerrero, CM Punk, Kurt Hawkins, D.H. Smith, Edge, Ezekiel Jackson, Festus, The Great Khali, Hurricane Helms, Jeff Hardy, Jesse, Jimmy Wang Yang, Kung Fu Naki.
He's not from Milwaukee.
Mr. Kennedy, Primo Colon, R-Truth, Shelton Benjamin, Umanga, The Undertaker, Kozlov, and Zack Ryder. So, Frank,
and Carlito.
A lot of big names still to be traded potentially here tonight in the draft.
But what's the rule? The rule as far as...
There are no rules.
No. Not everyone's going to get drafted.
True.
Correct?
It's a randomized thing.
It's a randomized thing, so you could still see... To me, I'm going to say this again for the people that missed it. To me, Orton's the big key. Where is Randy Orton going to end up? Being that he's right now the monster heel of basically the whole wrestling universe at the moment.
The only one bigger than him heel-wise is Vicky Guerrero.
I think he's going to stay on Raw because he's going to keep going with Triple H.
What is our friends at the Chatmosphere there?
Shadowsphere? They're saying that Cena won't move, even though some of them are saying Cena should
Where
go to
would
SmackDown.
they like to see Orton? Would they like to see him stay?
Okay. Frank has thrown it out to the Shadowsphere.
We'll give a minute for those responses.
Because I know this is going to be a long shot, but you could if they really want to make this a huge balance, then you put Orton on ECW.
Make people watch.
Let's give a moment for the Chatmosphere to blow up regarding that topic. Where do you want to see Randy Orton end up? Let's go to an email we've got from an Anthony Perea from California. He says a couple of picks that he had selected before Raw started, specifically people going to SmackDown, would be Kofi Kingston, Rey Mysterio, The Miz, or John Morrison, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho. He got that one. John Cena, Mickie James, Jack Swagger, Jillian Hall, Candice Michelle, and Mike Knox. So one of those picks anyways. But he goes on to say, as far as what should be done about the announcers, I agree that Jim Ross should be drafted back to Raw and the team with Jerry Lawler again. However, how about having Matt Stryker and Todd Grisham become the announced team for SmackDown? Of course, they could put Michael Cole on ECW with perhaps Josh Matthews or maybe even Mr. Kennedy since he's so injury-prone, and maybe consider switching to an announcer. And he goes on to say, because I am a journalist, so I'll read this. Also, Damian, about last week's episode, you don't have to get all upset with Meathead because he revealed your secret about you liking the Backstreet Boys.
Exactly. I mean, I like Sir Mix-a-Lot, and I like square butts.
So the commentary team, that's another dimension here that we want to talk about, but we want to give you the opportunity to reach out and talk to us as well. The number 276-ESPN, 276-3776, or 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-3776. We've got Terry in Waukesha right now on the phone lines. Terry, welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Gentlemen, how's it going today?
Hey, Terry.
Hey. Listening to you guys online right now, watching Raw at the same time.
Is there any other way to live?
Nope, no other way to live, man. Sitting on my recliner, listening to you guys and watching wrestling. All I need right now is a girl and a beer, and I'm set.
And does that girl have a square butt?
Stop it! Come on now, Terry. Let's get to the wrestling. Your draft thoughts so far, Terry in Waukesha.
I think so far it seems to be pretty good. I do agree with Damian saying it got a little bit off balance with Raw getting the first couple picks, because I've heard in and around the internet that McMahon seems to care more about Raw than he does the other two brands. But now seeing Jericho go over to SmackDown kind of gives me a little bit more confidence in the SmackDown brand. My father-in-law seems to really, really like SmackDown, so I'm glad that he gets to see somebody wrestle on it. And this is the one guy I really don't understand where he's ever going to end up. Christian's probably going to job it out again for the 80th millionth time on this show right now.
Well, no, I think there's a good chance Christian's going to get drafted to SmackDown, perhaps. Not that it necessarily matters, but...
we talked a little bit, too, real quick. We talked a little bit, too, about announced teams moving. I actually, even though it's the flagship show, I wouldn't mind seeing a Stryker or a Josh Matthews go to Raw.
For what? Broadcast?
Oh, yeah.
I'd go over better than Michael Cole.
I could see Stryker moving in with
Striker.
Yeah,
with
Josh
Jim
Matthews
Ross.
is the last of those tough enough guys. He's been around a lot longer than I expected for never ever getting into the ring.
Yeah.
So,
Well, he has wrestled if you
And he's great on the stick, by the way.
Oh yeah, he is.
Much better than anybody would have ever thought. Quite frankly, the team of Grisham and him were potentially the best team in WWE.
Now, if
Broadcasting
you have Josh
team.
Matthews and the Cats, Ernest Miller.
No,
not so much.
I don't mean in history at all. I'm talking right now of the three teams. I think Grisham and Stryker were the best two.
I do have a question for you, Damian.
Yes.
And I want you to see if you guys can knock this around. I've heard a lot of rumors about a lot of the big names in the WWE, like the main event guys retiring, like Batista, Michaels, and things like that. Now that a lot of the main event guys are getting up there in age, because they are, do you think the WWE is going to start promoting younger guys to move up to that level? And do you think guys like Shelton Benjamin and stuff like that will have a good shot at moving up to the next level? Because like I said, Michaels is what? He's in his 40s. Batista...
Well, the fact is, Batista, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels are certainly going to be gone within the next year, in my opinion. And those are a lot of big names in the company right now. Michaels has made it public. Undertaker never talks. Batista has made it public as well that they don't have much time left. So I think that WWE is being smart. They're building new stars. There's a reason Cody Rhodes and DiBiase are teamed up with Orton. They're building new stars, Miz and Morrison, things of that nature. They're planning for the future. They don't want to get stuck like they did back in 2005 and 2006, where they weren't ready. I think they're planning for the future, and I think you're going to see a lot of big stars come up in the next year. But I certainly agree. There are a lot of retirements that are going to be coming over the course of the WrestleMania 26. There's going to be a lot of goodbyes, I think.
Yeah, and the other thing that I'm kind of worried about, I was talking to a friend of mine who is another big wrestling fan, and we were talking about kind of what's missing in wrestling these days. And we were talking about how managers and tag teams and stuff like that is kind of what's missing on a lot of mainstream wrestling nowadays. I won't say it's missing in the independents because, we don't, as average wrestling fans, we don't see a lot of the independents. But I was wondering what you guys think. Do you think that if there were more like managers and tag teams, and they would probably maybe bring another dynamic that Raw hasn't seen? I mean, seeing the Colognes go against Miz and Morrison every other week now that the Miz has turned on Morrison supposedly.
We got a brand new episode of Pro Wrestling Report Television, which can be seen on Time Warner Cable Channel 14 Friday nights at 9, right after WWE Smackdown, and in high definition at pwrshow.com. We've got a new episode coming to the website on Wednesday. And we're actually going to talk about somebody who we think might make a pretty good manager in either TNA or Ring of Honor, who was recently let go from or recently walked out from WWE. But I do agree, and we've talked about it on this show, the lost art of managing needs to be found again. Terry, we're out of time.
Terry, thank you for the call.
Thank you so much for calling in. This is the Pro Wrestling Report. We are live Monday night, April 13th, with the 2009 WWE Draft. We're going to take a time out, and when we come back, it's more here on ESPN 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Я принес тебе боль.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and PWRShow.com. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, and the Cos here with live coverage of the 2009 WWE Draft Monday, April 13, 2009. It's Tax Freedom Day, guys. Did you know?
Nope. Say again. Explain.
Today is the day by which you have worked enough to pay your taxes for the year. So if you had not taken any actual income, you will have paid off all the taxes you will pay for the year. Tax Freedom
Well, you
Day.
know what also is going to happen, too, is for those that don't like to pay any of their taxes or their bills, like here in the Milwaukee area, you'll be getting your power cut off in a couple days, too. So.
We are live. You can join us on the phone lines, number 276-3776. Again, that's 276-ESPN, or all over the world at 1-800-990-3776, 1-800-990-ESPN. Let's go to a call from Manchester. Not sure stateside or across the pond, but it's Curry from Manchester. You're live on the Pro Wrestling Report here on 540 ESPN.
How are you doing?
Curry,
Hello, Manchester.
great. How are you,
Is this over at the home of the Red Devils?
I am indeed.
All right.
Welcome, Curry, to the Pro Wrestling Report. What do you have for us this week, sir?
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you guys, do you think that they should even it out a bit
Yeah, they are working on it right now. As Frank mentioned in the first hour, right after the beginning of the program, how we kind of had an unbalanced Raw. And as Frank has mentioned before, he's going to go ahead and have people drafted to SmackDown. People are going to get drafted. We just had a draft pick to ECW where Vladimir Kozlov went to ECW.
Right.
And the supplemental that happens on Wednesday, noon Eastern here in the States, will balance that all out.
Right. And they've historically fixed a lot in the supplemental draft. And, I think so far, as you guys just said, yeah, they're balancing it out a little, but we still got a lot of big names that haven't been touched. And let's review those names again. Special thanks to Curry, calling all the way from Manchester, England.
Go Red Devil.
Here on the Pro Wrestling Report here on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Batista, Cody Rhodes, I would call that a big name. John Cena, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Santino Marella, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, William Regal. Going through the list here, the commentators, we haven't seen those touched yet.
Nope. We haven't seen but one diva moved, and you know what? Again,
Edge, great
Tony
colleague.
Atlas. You know who else should get drafted too, Frank? I'm going to steal your gimmick. Draft the Kamala.
Well, I think you have to be an active member of the roster.
Who said Kamala's not active? What's the definition of active? Hacksaw Jim
Wrestling
Duggan.
regularly.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
He wrestles
active.
regularly on the program.
Ric Flair is not active according to wrestling regularly, but he's a member of the show.
He's also retired. He's retired, dang it.
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat could be drafted.
Vladimir Kozlov, the latest pick to go to ECW, actually. The only pick to go to ECW. Vladimir Kozlov from SmackDown to ECW.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the only one tonight for ECW based on we've got about 40 minutes left for Raw unless they add like 2 or 3 matches here. But, again, I'm going to say it again for those of you who just joined us, it's the Orton. To me, he's the key.
My count says that we've still got about two picks left in this broadcast. I would imagine they might be able to get to more than that. But let's talk about announcers, guys. I think we're probably going to see an announcer shakeup. We saw Jim Ross talk about how he will probably be used more in a role similar to that in which he did at WrestleMania going forward.
Which is a commentator, color commentator.
I guess I want to ask you guys this, and more for you, Damien, because of the mark you are for Jim Ross.
I'm a mark for JR.
It's been a year. Do you think it's worked for him to go to SmackDown?
Good question.
No, and let's talk about what happened last year with SmackDown. Was they put so much talent on it? It was the move over to My Network TV. They wanted to make the show a little bit bigger. Triple H, Jeff Hardy, Jim Ross, obviously going over, which they were all big moves. Splitting up the team of JR and Lawler didn't make much sense at the time to anybody, including JR, who publicly stated that he thought about leaving the company at that time. They did it, and the ratings haven't shown any improvement. They have not done any better as far as viewership goes on SmackDown since making those big dramatic moves last year. So do I think it worked, Frank? I don't think it worked at all. Did it give SmackDown a more prevalent role in the overall TV lineup of the company? I think so. But did it do what they thought it would do, which was bring it up to the level of Raw? Absolutely not. But did it make a splash on My Network TV being able to say you have those stars? I think so.
Because last year with Triple H moving to SmackDown, at the time, he was the biggest name that moved over, in my opinion. As far as announcers, it was JR. That was a shock. Like, I can't believe they're actually going to do that.
To everybody.
And I thought,
including JR.
I think like 2 weeks later, we're like, no, he'll go back to SmackDown, and he didn't. So I can actually see before this night ends is JR goes back to SmackDown.
He stays where he is, you mean? Back to Raw with Jerry Lawler?
To Raw. Or they mix it up completely.
Well, here's the thing, though. Michael Cole, as long as JR is with the company, will never be well received by the fans. Michael Cole's been with the company for, I think, 13 years now.
At least 10, yeah.
Since 1990.
30 more, and he catches up
since 1996. He's been with the company for a very long time. Nobody got more booze than he did at WrestleMania, being there live when he got introduced.
Even John Cena.
People just hate this man for some reason. And keep in mind, I think Michael Cole does a great job at what he does. But the belief out there is that Michael Cole just doesn't care. He's collecting a paycheck. I'm not saying that's true or false. Obviously, JR, having spent 30 years in the business, all that, is very involved and passionate about the product. The belief amongst the fans out there, and correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, the belief amongst the fans out there is that Michael Cole doesn't care, so no one cares about him.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but it's Michael Cole seemed to have gotten and perception is always not, perception is not always reality.
But it is reality to that person.
Correct.
I think he cares.
The problem is that Michael Cole seems to have gotten stuck in a loop. Vintage this, vintage that. Michael Cole hasn't done anything new lately except for run from any physical contact. So
faster than Frank runs.
Yeah, and Frank runs fast.
That takes some effort.
There you go. Well, I think it would make sense for a mix-up tonight or a shake-up tonight as far as announcers, but if they want it to work, things usually take a couple of years for someone to get comfortable.
Right.
So,
but here's the thing: name your dream teams. If you had your way, Frank, who would be Raw? Who would be SmackDown? Who would be EC Dub? And remember, think outside the box. Think of any way you would like to configure it.
I don't. To me, it always makes sense. And again, this is what I'm used to: is the person doing play-by-play usually is the face, and the person doing color usually is the heel. I like it that way. It makes a lot more sense. It makes it more entertaining. So when the King started out as heel and then kind of changed as the years went on, it took away the fun of the announcers at that point, because we all liked Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan.
Will you stop?
Bobby Heenan was...
I actually liked Vince and Jesse Ventura.
Jesse was great.
Back to you, McMahon.
It works. And now you kind of miss that.
But you know what really made those heel commentators pretty good back in the 80s? Was trashing Hogan.
Yeah.
I thought that really got them over when they were, run their mouth about Hogan.
In general, calling
but
the main face.
It could also help, as it doesn't really matter anymore with John Cena, because whether he gets booed or cheered doesn't matter. But if they were trying to get John Cena as the top face of the company, the announcers can help in that way, getting the fans at home to think, okay, yeah, I guess he is the top face. I can cheer for him now. But in this case, because I think for the most part, except for Matt Stryker, Stryker's like the only heel
in WWE.
Right. That doesn't make any
but
sense.
Stryker's not a heel.
ECW.
Stryker, in my opinion, is not a heel.
No, but I mean
apparently, according to WWE's definition, Stryker is a heel.
Hey, he's absolutely a heel.
Yeah.
Especially when it was off the chalkboard. Takes us to school.
But how long ago was that?
Look at what happened with Tenay and West.
Since he did commentary, he hasn't been a heel.
Let's look at Tenay and West. What has made that team work better over the last few weeks? West going heel.
Right.
Heat between the two.
Exactly. You don't want to sit there, and this was my problem with those two for a long time. You don't want to sit there and have the commentators agree on everything, which JR and the King got to at the end of their run together. As we see CM Punk, the Money in the Bank ladder match.
Again, and I asked before, why doesn't CM Punk have his case from last year? I mean, or why doesn't he get it designed? I mean, they already know
maybe
the guy
that
can
case
do
was
it.
Closed. Ba-dum-bum. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNWonky.com. You can join us live on the phone lines, ladies and gentlemen. We want to hear your thoughts on the draft. When we come back, we're going to go back to the Chapman Sphere and we'll see what you guys think about Randy Orton and where he should go. But you can call us at 276-ESPN or 1-800-990-ESPN or join us in the Chapman Sphere at PWRshow.com. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
This is Mike Cameron of the Milwaukee Brewers, and you're listening to 540 ESPN.
High five.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. Monday night, April 13, 2009. We're live. You're listening to us on iTunes. Remember, you can subscribe at PWR Live. Just follow the podcast section.
Cool.
Follow the podcast section at iTunes and search for PWR Live. Take us with you on your iPod. We're live Monday night, April 13, 2009. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, and the Cause. Here with live WWE draft coverage, 2009 WWE draft. We're about 9 picks deep, or 10 picks deep, rather. 2 more anticipated picks, as right now CM Punk and Matt Hardy with a Jeff Hardy run-in going one-on-one for the next pick. Those are his jeans, I think.
He's trying to escape out of his jeans, like they do the knotted-up bed sheets in the window.
I guess Jeff Hardy getting his final bit of revenge on now departing from
I saw
SmackDown.
myself in clothes like those, I'd have to kick my own ass.
Matt Hardy, who has been drafted to Raw. Jeff Hardy, who at this point in time is still on SmackDown. However, I'm going to make a royal prediction here.
Carl.
I think Jeff Hardy's coming back to Raw.
Yeah, just seeing this tonight here.
Oh, yeah, because how can he end it? Or, well, did CM Punk win the match?
We're going to find out in just a moment.
It's going to be a count-out.
We're live on ESPNWonky.com and PWRshow.com. Looks like we're going to have another draft pick.
I believe Matt won by DQ.
before we do that, let's talk about the draft picks so far. 2 Raw has gone, and yes, indeed, Raw gets another, but 2 Raw has gone. Montel Vontavious, Porter, The Big Show, Matt Hardy, Triple H, The Miz, and that's it so far. 2 SmackDown, Melina, CM Punk, Kane, and Chris Jericho. And I think this next pick here for Raw is going to no doubt be Jeff Hardy
to Raw,
given what we just saw happen live on your USA Network. And it is not.
No.
It's actually Maurice, the Divas champion, drafted to Raw. Earlier, Melina, the women's champion, drafted to SmackDown. This, folks, is a good choice, in my opinion.
The Diva belt being on Raw is a good choice?
Maurice.
No, but the Diva belt is on Raw. The women's belt is on SmackDown.
They're both crap.
No, the women's belt
compared
is
to the
for
knockouts,
wrestling.
they're both crap.
You're right, but, I mean, at least the women's belt.
Holy crap.
Thanks,
I think
Peter.
Maurice, I think that's a great pick. She's something else.
Yeah, she is something else. We need to bring back Renee.
No, she's got attitude. She's got a little something that the rest of the Divas don't have over on the
We need to bring
SmackDown.
back Renee and Robert. Yeah, no, Renee and Robert.
Now, here's what the situation of the problems we haven't solved. So now we don't have 2 women's titles on SmackDown, but we do still have the United States and Intercontinental Championship
on Raw.
On Raw, correct.
Also the World and the WWE belts on Raw.
Exactly. So we've got some balancing to do. That caller earlier, and also the email we got earlier, some balancing certainly needs to be done between the 2 brands, Raw and SmackDown. But Meathead, what does the Chatmosphere have to say about that Randy Orton query?
The Chatosphere, without a doubt, Frank, says ECW, Randy Orton, never going to happen. But, I mean, the reason
that
being...
makes sense. I mean, but
sure,
still.
and I'll give you an idea. The reason being that they said that ECW, this is just some, but the reason they said is ECW is the show for people that Vince don't like, which absolutely makes no sense.
He doesn't like Vladimir?
It makes no sense. I mean, that's what, they've said about Christian. Christian went to ECW because Vince doesn't like him. He's trying to job him up. That doesn't make
I bought my
sense.
That's why he brought him back to the company.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make any sense. But the overwhelming consensus is that Orton will stay on Raw to feud with Trips.
Yeah. Again, that would make sense. At that point, that makes sense. But then you have to keep Edge on SmackDown. Otherwise, they're just going to really lose too much. Yeah, well, I mean, they have Chris Jericho moved over there, but
the whole point of the draft, remember, guys, the whole point of the draft has historically been to create new feuds or create new opportunities, balance the brands, or balance them, and then balance doesn't mean 50-50. Balance can mean 70-40 or 70-30 Raw versus SmackDown, forgetting about ECW because that's just sort of its own little thing over there. But that's the purpose of this, is to create some new blood, new
and don't forget,
feuds.
Don't forget, whatever brand ECW travels with, they'll make some excuse about how ECW talent can be on that brand and that brand can be on ECW. So, like, if ECW is on the road with the Raw brand, Raw talent will be on the ECW show, and the ECW talent will be on the Raw show. Then if they start touring the country with the SmackDown brand, blah, 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 talented exchange, blah, 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 the brands don't matter.
To Vosh and the Chatmosphere, 11 people have been drafted so far. We expect there to be one more draft pick tonight here on the live draft, and then we expect to see a number of names traded hosted by the Fink on Wednesday on WWE.com at noon Eastern Time, the supplemental draft. And we've seen a lot of big names change brands so far, but really the story here is ECW's picked up one, and that one is Vladimir Kozlov.
That's it. That's just end it.
Remember what I said earlier, though?
Just end
is Swagger a big enough star to build that brand on? Swagger's got potential, in my opinion. Swagger could be someone who resonates with the fans.
All right.
He's a two-time All-American.
I missed the beginning of Raw. Was he on Raw?
He wrestled John Cena.
In the beginning?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Lost,
actually,
it
was at the end of the
title
hour
versus
one.
title.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the TV title versus the world title. The ECW champion is really the equivalent of like
you've got to
Tully
build your
Blanchard's
brand.
TV title.
You've got to build that brand. So you keep Swagger on there, and you can battle Kozlov for 11 months.
We've got an email here from Mike K. You can send your emails to the comment link at pwrshow.com. He says, do you think that after the Cena-Edge Last Man Standing match at Backlash, CM Punk will cash in the Money in the Bank?
No, because, I'm glad that everybody's excited about the Money in the Bank and expecting people to cash in early and do whatever. the Money in the Bank thing needs to be held on so people keep talking about it. I mean, I know that people said, I can't wait for them to cash in at WrestleMania. That's not going to happen.
No,
why would you kill the steam?
But here's something right there.
No,
why not? Why not?
No, because it's something that you can keep steam on
but
forever.
It's not something anyone's expecting.
Everybody's
Just
expecting it.
No,
Damien,
they're
it's
not.
happened. Let me finish. Damien, it's happened every year after the Edge one. I think he's going to cash in here. He's going to cash in here. I think he's going to. No, it's not going to happen because people do expect it.
Look at No Way Out. Nobody
Look at
expected anything that happened. Everybody expected Triple H to win and Edge to win and all that stuff. Nothing happened. So
you're saying people expected Edge to win?
Listen, when
Edge
did
win,
not the Raw match, of course, but listen, when everything's so predictable like that, or people are expecting things, WWE throws those swerves out all the time, and it's not just for the internet fan because it's for the fans who are, everything's so obvious, at least in their mind. Now WrestleMania, they didn't throw any swerves at us. Triple H won, John Cena won. That was pretty much a given on that show. But I think actually a Money in the Bank cash-in after the main at WrestleMania would be freaking awesome.
Yep, but also now you have to find something else to have some steam with for someone for the next year.
Well,
it'll work when people stop talking about it because you know what? With the IWC being the way that they are, and again, I guess we're members of the IWC. We've always been. Yeah, apparently.
When it switched between Kennedy and Punk, though, that year was a joke.
It never switched between Kennedy and Punk.
Who did Kennedy take it from?
No. Kennedy didn't take it from anybody. Kennedy won, got injured, lost it to Edge. Edge went and cashed it in the next night on SmackDown.
It was Edge.
Pay attention to the product.
Yes, it was Edge. But when that happened, that diminished the whole purpose of it because the winner didn't even cash it in. Granted, he couldn't, but the winner didn't even cash it in. So when that happened, it was like, oh, okay, who cares about Money in the Bank anymore? The best was
People
when...
still care about Money in the Bank.
Huh? I disagree.
No. I don't disagree, and I think that
So
people cared about Money in the Bank when RVD had it, and RVD told people when he was cashing his in.
You'd rather wait to maybe SummerSlam?
I'd rather wait until I forgot about it.
Well, you don't want people to forget about it.
Yeah, so it can be an unexpected surprise.
So maybe then, if they have this maybe once or twice a year, Saturday night's main event
with Michael Cole on commentary
because they're taped, that would suck.
It would, but I mean, make it a surprise.
You're
really
right.
Make it a surprise.
You're right.
But he can go after any championship,
any belt.
So get him on ECW then. He could take it from Cosmo.
Tommy said that if he ever won the Money in the Bank, that he would go ahead and go for the ECW title. Matter of fact, RVD has already done that, Frank, and won the ECW title.
Right.
Well, no, he won the world title and it became the ECW title.
Correct. I apologize.
I think what's going to be a given here is that ECW is not getting ready to get another pick.
Unless there's interference.
Chris Jericho
Mickey
versus
Rourke.
Tommy Dreamer right now.
Flair.
Yeah, they'll do a run-in.
Ricky the
they
Dragon
better
Steamboat.
start
Well,
now.
no, isn't Chief J Strongbow there?
Frank. Oh, Minnie Moon, come for you. The one last pick is what we expect, and it looks like that pick is going to go to SmackDown as a result of a Jericho win, which I'm maybe putting the cart before the horse here. But, Frank, let's speculate. Who's next? Let's say it is a pick to SmackDown.
Goldberg.
Who's next?
Goldberg.
I think it's Finlay.
Again? Do people care about Finlay, Frank?
Well, I think with Hornswoggle, yeah.
Is that why Hornswoggle has to go with him so people care?
I don't know. Would that work out where he would have to go with him?
No. Hornswoggle's his own entity.
So. You say Hornswoggle, Frank. Meathead, your thoughts. Who, if it is a draft pick to SmackDown, who is it next? I can go over the remaining Raw roster if you need me to. Christian from ECW to SmackDown.
Nah, see, they just had Christian wrestle, so I don't know if they'll do that.
No, that doesn't make a difference.
Well, here's who we have remaining on the brands right now. On the Raw side of things, it's Batista, The Big Show, who's drafted tonight, Charlie Haas, Cody Rhodes, Dolph Ziggler, that's his name, Goldust, Jamie Noble, Hacksaw, Jim Duggan, John Cena, JTG, Kofi Kingston, Matt Hardy, Mike Knox, The Miz, who was drafted tonight, MVP, also drafted tonight, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio. Lots of rumors out there that Rey Mysterio was going to get drafted to SmackDown, the trade-off for the United States Championship held by MVP. Santino Marella, Shad Gaspard, Shawn Michaels.
What about Santina?
She's also still on Raw. Ted DiBiase, Triple H, and William Regal, all on Raw and still on the SmackDown side of things. Remember, no announcer moves thus far either.
What about women?
The Brian Kendrick, Carlito, Chavo Guerrero, Chris Jericho, CM Punk, Kurt Hawkins, D.H. Smith, Edge,
You didn't mention
Jackson,
I was going to say my man
Festus, Great Khali, Hurricane Helms, Jeff Hardy, Jesse, Jimmy Wang Yang, Kane, Kung Funaki, Kennedy, Primo Colon, R-Truth, Shelton, Benjamin Umaga, The Undertaker, and Zack Ryder. Now, here's what I just noticed here, folks. SmackDown's got a distinctly longer list of viable names.
They've
than
also
Raw
got
does.
tag teams on their brand as well, and maybe that's where the tag team belts will stay.
They are unified now, which was a good point. They are unified, but we did see one of the most dominant tag teams split up tonight, The Miz and John Morrison.
You know what's kind of funny, too, is we also, I believe, entered Frank into the draft as well. I wonder if Frank will go to ECW.
Would you do it, Frank?
If the money's right.
We still haven't seen any commentator moves. We really haven't seen any earth-shattering moves. Really, next week, here's the question. Next week, how big will this draft have mattered?
It won't, because things will still change. I think this is a Tommy win right here.
No.
Oh, that was so close. I'm telling you, Frank, you're getting drafted, ECW.
No, I would love to see Orton drafted to ECW tonight.
It's not going to happen, but it would be surprising.
Why not?
Why? It would be a shocker.
Why? Mix it up. Really shake it up.
Well, then you have to have all the other top talents visit ECW on a regular basis. I thought you didn't give up that crack cocaine. Orton to ECW. I would go ahead and say absolutely. CNN is not ready to project that.
What did you have a
Fox News maybe, huh?
Like you had to have a poll, or what do they call it?
An exit poll.
Exit poll.
Yeah. Yep. We got the magic wall in here too. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. I almost said P9. On 540 ESPN. Damian Nelson. The man they call Meathead in the cause. What does booyaka mean?
Booyaka, booyaka!
But what does it booyaka mean?
You got to call
does
POD
anyone in
and
the
ask
atmosphere
them.
know what booyaka means?
Call POD and ask them.
It's like hooray. Hooray for me.
We've got live coverage of the 2009 WWE Draft. 12 picks so far. The last one being Little Ray Ray to SmackDown. We speculated on it just before that time out. MVP coming over to Raw with the United States Championship. Now the prestigious Intercontinental title going to SmackDown with Rey Mysterio. And we know that Rey Mysterio had spent a lot of time on SmackDown after one of the first drafts, said to be one of the reasons that SmackDown had achieved somewhat of a rating success. Let's not forget, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the new general manager of SmackDown, or the old general manager of SmackDown, general manager again, Teddy Long, Theodore R. Long, back on Smacky Wacky.
Yeah, you know, it's nice to see Thaddeus back doing what he does best and getting jiggy with it on SmackDown.
Maybe we get to see him here in Milwaukee then in a couple months.
We got to do the homework, but
back to five, Meathead.
I think he's the longest-running general manager in WWE history.
He spent the most time as general manager.
How long was Tunney president?
Jack Tunney?
We got to get the
80s.
Gosh.
I know we got the prime minister around, and I know he's busy, but I believe he'll be able to give us an answer when Jack Tunney was president. How long was Jack Tunney president of WWE?
It was pretty much throughout the entire,
at least
late
10
80s,
years.
early 90s. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was about as long as Stanley Blackburn was the president of the AWA.
Exactly. Jack Tunney, I mean, that's a guy that was just there, and you forgot he was there, and all of a sudden, Santino just brought it up last week, I believe. I believe I called Jack Tunney the president.
Rey Mysterio to SmackDown along with the 619. Now, he did wrestle earlier and did get picked, so does that leave Christian still as an option to go somewhere else? Yes, we're talking about it, because I really think Christian would benefit from a draft move at this point.
To where? To Raw or SmackDown, or does it matter?
Well, can I make a confession?
The fact that you're a E mark, a TNA mark, or a PWR mark.
What am I this week?
E mark.
E mark. All right, cool. I need other people to tell me because I can't make my own decisions apparently. SmackDown's difficult to watch.
Yes.
I try each and every week, but I can't help but falling asleep. So it takes me
and are
2
you
or 3
watching
days to watch it.
Are you watching it on Friday nights, or when are you getting
absolutely
to it?
not. I'm at some bar on Friday nights, not watching SmackDown.
Okay.
But in DVR because I don't do commercials. But it still takes me 2 or 3 days to watch it, and it's just at times it's just it doesn't have that feeling, that luster, that shine on it like Raw does. Even ECW is a better show at times because it's only going to be an hour.
Yeah, and it's funny again that ECW on occasion has more wrestling in that hour than TNA does in the 2-hour program that they have. So, Well,
what we know about WWE Superstars, which comes up premiering
how
this
long
Thursday,
is it going to be?
It's an hour-long show. It's on WGN America, unless you live in Chicago, by the way. You're going to get it Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. This show is going to feature one match from each brand, basically. They're going to tape those matches during the tapings of Raw and SmackDown each week. We know the first match that you'll see this week will be The Undertaker versus Matt Hardy, with a little bit of Jeff Hardy run-in action on that show. WWE Superstars coming up this week.
Well, that I was just about to say, as someone who could get drafted here in the next 5 minutes, I was thinking Undertaker, but knowing that the
ECW.
Here's my question: as we just saw JR and Grisham on screen, does Grisham become the chosen one by working with JR?
I mean, getting that main
Something
event
Michael Cole
announcing
never
rub.
really hasn't done. Yeah,
the main event announcing rub.
Watching it, seeing it right there on screen.
Then how would Cole feel? I mean, kind of.
Is he a lifer though?
Is Michael Cole now the David Letterman of announcing, where he didn't get that rub up to the big show?
He's not going to NBC. I don't know, but just looking at that right there, maybe that's what you need, because in order for that torch to be passed in the announcing ranks, I think you got to get the rub from JR by working with him all the time.
There's not going to be another draft pick then.
Says who? How many have been drafted, Damien? Give us a count.
12 have been drafted. Those were the rumors, that there would be 12 tonight.
Okay.
They have plugged now the supplemental draft in pretty high detail on the show, so maybe this is it.
There won't be another pick.
We don't know, but let's see who remains. As far as the big names go, Batista not moved, Randy Orton not moved.
Oh, by the way, the chatosphere throwing out that you're not an E-mark. Actually, you're a Backstreet Boy mark.
I will say again, I love live music. Typically, I go to Country Thunder every year down in Twin Lakes, Wisconsin. I hate country music. I go for the atmosphere and the live music.
I hate.
Rap is crap, too. However, you will not see me at, well, never mind. Here comes the money. But
oh, God. I get somebody just club him in the head.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. The number by which you can join us live on air is 276-ESPN, 276-3776, or 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-3776. Frank and Meathead, we're going to have a brand new episode of PWR TV for you this week, where we give our thoughts on a couple of departures.
You're telling me if there's new TV? I'm pretty sure I would know.
Departures from WWE, such as JBL and Taz. Also, detailed analysis on the recent findings as it pertains to Andrew Test Martin's passing recently. That's this week on PWR TV. Remember, folks, here in the Milwaukee area, you can watch that Friday nights right after WWE Smackdown, 9 o'clock p.m. on Time Warner Cable, Channel 14. We also want to give a shout-out to all the people joining us in the chatmosphere at www.pwrshow.com. Those of you listening to us live on TalkShoe as well. It's a multimedia circus that is the Pro Wrestling Pro. We also want to thank all of our viewers from last week. 40,000 views of our TV product
of just
last
the TV
week
show
alone. Show alone last
because
week.
the radio show there was a upload issue that we might even be working
anybody?
on.
I haven't read the comments.
No, you know what, Frank? Actually, you're over. You're a face. People love you.
Oh boy, that's.
Let's go to the phone lines here. Will from New Jersey, you are live on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
How you guys doing tonight?
Hey, Will. Hey, what's up, Big Will?
Hey, nothing. I've been listening to you guys for a long time. Best podcast ever.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate that.
I was wondering, 2 world champions on Raw right now. Not good for SmackDown, in my opinion.
At the
moment.
Very
good point. Something we haven't talked about.
Remember that most likely get settled by Backlash.
There you go.
Yeah, that's still a month, though, of SmackDown being in the crapper.
2 weeks.
No, 2 weeks. That's true. 2 weeks of SmackDown being in the crapper. Every time they've done a world title or a WWE title draft, they have fixed it by the end of the draft episode. This night is different from previous drafts. You're right. SmackDown's in the crapper right now with no world title.
Damien, if you remember, after No Way Out, Raw had no belts up until WrestleMania. Remember, the Edge came over and took the Raw belt.
Yeah,
but at that point, all the guys were on all the shows anyway.
Yeah.
What do you think, Will?
Don't you think it makes sense now that Edge would actually win the belt now because he's still on SmackDown technically?
Sure. I mean, they already settled the mid-card belt issue with Ray going to SmackDown with the IC belt, and the U.S. belt with MVP now being on Raw. So,
Will, your most surprising pick of the night of the 12 people who have been drafted so far?
I would have to say, I thought MVP was actually kind of shocking to me, actually. That was kind of a bigger, I think it's huge. I think that's a push for him big time.
Well, he will be balling on Raw now. Thank you so much for calling, Will from New Jersey. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Listen to the game weeknights at 6 on 540 ESPN.
Hi, this is
WAUK Jackson. Join the 540 ESPN text club now. Log on to ESPNMilwaukee.com.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. This must be from the defunct wrestling organization known as WCW.
No, we need our producer to get on and explain what that was.
Was that Madonna?
Dragon.
The Britney?
It is Christian's theme song. Just close your eyes.
Really?
Oh. Well, it's the intro.
Mr. Christian. Yeah, I think it was Night Range. Good call,
that must
Frank.
be a full version. I didn't realize there was a full version out there, Drago.
Wow. Hey.
We're live Monday night, April 13, 2009. It is live coverage of the 2009 WWE Draft, which is coming to an end on the USA Network. Pro Wrestling Report on at a special time, 8:30 Central.
We're in overtime right now.
For those of you just joining us here at our regular start time at 10 o'clock, we thank you for tuning in. Let's review for you what we have talked about and what has happened so far. The big draft picks have been surprising in some cases, baffling in others, as 12 names have changed brands, only one going to ECW, with Raw certainly picking up the big picks tonight. And here are the picks. Going to Raw, MVP in the United States Championship, The Big Show, Matt Hardy, Triple H, and the WWE Championship, The Miz, and the Slammy. When The Miz was picked, by the way, attacking his now former partner John Morrison, and also Maurice with the Divas Championship to Raw. On the SmackDown side of things, Melina takes the Women's Championship over to the blue side. CM Punk takes the Money in the Bank briefcase to SmackDown. Kane takes his fire to SmackDown. Jericho takes his attitude to SmackDown. And Rey Mysterio takes his shortness to SmackDown.
See, that's not right. You forgot
He's
about
short.
the
Is he not
IC
short?
belt. Ray took the IC belt to SmackDown. You just wanted to insult the guy.
No.
but you didn't mention the belt.
When they show him wearing the belt, you can't see him because the belt's bigger. So
No,
I
John
just
Cena
thought
is
the
the
belt
you
went.
can't see me guy.
And to ECW has gone Vladimir Kozlov. So some interesting picks. And Triple H just gets the win in this main event here on Raw, which I don't believe is going to result in a draft pick.
No, but the winner does get a title shot, I believe, at Orton next week. Is that correct, Frank?
Yes. According to the general manager, Vicky Guerrero. Now, here's my question. Do you think WWE brings a tanning bed with them to the shows?
Absolutely.
Or did they just have everybody, before they walk out of the gorilla position, walk through tan spray?
No. There's tan spray, but I believe they've got it. Oh, because it's all over Batista's face.
Oh, now here we go. We see the budding feud here between Batista and Triple H.
Batista's face, he's getting orange and mad. Like he just had an orange.
It turns into the Incredible Hulk.
Shane's blowing up. We've got a lot of comments in the Shamasphere. We're still taking your calls, ladies and gentlemen. Now that the draft seemingly is over, we are live. The number, 276-ESPN, 276-3776, or 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-3776. And there you see Randy Orton now, the man who remains on Raw. As Frank said, he wanted to see him transferred to ECW, or drafted to ECW.
Well, just to shock everybody, but it's not going to happen. Unless he comes out here.
It's not going to happen.
No, but unless he comes out here and goes, and no one gets anything, I've just been drafted to SmackDown.
The supplemental draft happens Wednesday on WWE.com starting at 11 a.m. Central Time, we believe. I would not expect any earth-shattering moves to happen in that draft. But tonight's draft overall, we are intrigued to hear your thoughts as listeners out there in the Internet wrestling community. Call us at 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-3776, or 276-3776, 276-ESPN. So, gentlemen, would you like to speculate as to, let's pick three names who we're potentially going to see traded in the supplemental coming up Wednesday on WWE.com.
I'll throw out the name that everybody else has been throwing out, that he needs to go to SmackDown, needs to go to Raw, needs to get off of ECW is Christian. I'm going to throw that name out right away.
At last he could be on his own?
At last he could be on his own on a different show. Also, another guy that's going to move is going to be, I probably see the Brian Kendrick maybe going to ECW. I'd like to see Brian Kendrick go to ECW.
Yeah, it's all going to be done online, right?
This will be done on the site. Howard Finkel will be hosting. Another blast from the past there.
It would be good then to get a big name. Christian would be a big name.
And Paul London to SmackDown, reprising his Pirate gimmick. Damien.
I'm just disappointed at the end.
I was just reading because I always bash the females in WWE.
I even stood up for you in the Chattosphere. Did you see that finally?
Just because I haven't done my Candice Michelle shirt open on TV in a while.
Nobody wants to see you open your shirt anyway.
Well, it was never really my shirt. It was my jacket.
Yeah.
You know, my sport coat, if you will.
Yeah, you know what?
I'll say it again, and I don't care what y'all think. The knockouts are better.
Yeah.
Period. Bar none. The knockouts are better.
And, you know, it's funny, too, and I read this in the Chattosphere as well, that Damien is the Chattosphere. Damien's always bashing the girls in the Chattosphere, but then, you know, he's got Petey Williams and the Backstreet Boys, and I don't get it.
What does Petey Williams have to do with this?
Because you're a mark for Petey Williams. Remember your markism changes every week?
Oh,
and
this week it's Petey?
Apparently.
Even though I never mentioned his name?
Damien, 3 guys.
I'm not picking. Y'all haven't picked yet.
I just picked. You weren't even listening to the product.
I don't pay you any attention. Let's go to the phone line. We've got Elliot from New York here on the Pro Wrestling Report at 540 ESPN. Elliot, you're live.
Hello.
Elliot.
Hey, yeah. I kind of enjoyed the draft. To tell you the truth. You know,
it held your interest?
It wasn't the picks I was counting on.
Okay.
Okay. What pick were you looking for?
I'm not gonna lie. I marked out tonight. Every time a match came up, I kept saying, Christian goes somewhere, Christian goes somewhere, Christian goes somewhere.
Yeah.
It was in the back of my...
You were also thinking about the Undertaker move it too, right?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I thought about Shawn moving. Shawn on SmackDown.
I think Shawn Michaels is going to move to the unemployment line because isn't he going to finish?
He wasn't even used, by the way. In case you didn't know.
Like supposedly his last year or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but I enjoyed this draft, and I'm more excited now for the supplemental draft because supplemental draft really made guys last year like Kofi Kingston and who else? Benjamin, and they really got their shine on other shows, even though they weren't televised drafts. Even Finley, you know, changed up on ECW, you know, and that could change things. I would like to see Morrison on SmackDown, you know, do something over there, but we could all wish for certain things we're never going to get. Another thing I wanted to point out that I was trying to call last week to tell you guys.
You're not a Backstreet Boy fan too, are you?
Huh? No.
Okay.
God, no.
I'd like you to take note of who keeps bringing that up, though.
I'm strictly Timberlake fan. Sorry.
Hey, I've got a lot of respect for Justin Timberlake too. I've seen him perform.
Yeah.
That's not helping my cause, is it?
No.
It was at the Billboard Music Awards one year, so I didn't go to see him.
Anyways, Elliot, what else?
Yeah, I wanted to point out and see if you guys noticed. I didn't know TNA Impact came on last week on USA at 9 o'clock, and it had Randy Orton and Legacy replacing the Main Event Mafia, and they're doing a main event that was used a few months back for Final Resolution.
Really?
Good
ironic.
point. I thought the same thing. Good point. Very good point.
It didn't look like Impact to you, and it didn't look like the same way it was the Main Event Mafia versus the Frontline, only defending Sting's championship, and only AJ would win it back.
Yeah, you know, I was kind of thinking, it's funny that you bring that up, and I'm not trying to ride your coattails on this because you definitely brought it out, but while Vicky was talking tonight with the crazy stipulations, I thought I was watching Impact as well.
Yeah. I was like...
So Dixie was right. Vince watches the product.
He's taking notes, obviously, I guess.
There you go.
I guess he's taking notes. Oh, and I got to watch Ring of Honor this past week.
Okay, what'd you think?
I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
To be honest.
What do you think of... the fact that right now, obviously, according to TV, Nigel McGuinness is still the champion, but they did put up little notes on there that said Jerry Lynn will be winning a belt from Nigel McGuinness. What do you think?
No, I think I saw. I think they addressed it on the third episode, the beginning of the third episode.
Okay.
They addressed that Jerry Lynn won it, and they addressed it and all that. I know I think all their matches were pre-recorded like a month in advance, or something like that. But they acknowledged it on TV, and I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't think they would. Seeing how also their pay-per-views are out of
Well, the pay-per-views are taped, and then they air taped pay-per-views, yeah.
But that I understand. Like I was thinking to myself, I was sitting there with somebody, I was like, you know what? That's something I'm kind of glad they did because then they're posting you, they're making you want to watch it more, they want to see more, they're going to want to see a title match, they're going to want to see stuff like that. They reel you in with stuff like that, I believe. And that kind of reeled me in. Now I'm willing to see a Jerry Lynn Nigel McGuinness match on TV, which I think the world is ready for now that Ring of Honor is on TV.
I think it's a gutsy move by Ring of Honor to make Jerry Lynn the champion, simply because of how long he's been around, and quite frankly, he's up there compared to the other talent.
He's also not Ring of Honor built. Jerry
He
Lynn
still
has
got it, but he's been
Jerry
around
Lynn has
with-
spent time in every other organization: WCW, WWE, TNA,
That's like giving the title
ECW.
to RVD.
Yeah, he
Or
had a great
Jeff
year-long
Hardy.
series with RVD.
You know, it's a name recognition. Not everyone recognizes Jerry Lynn, but hardcore fans know who Jerry Lynn is.
Absolutely.
Real
Very
fans, real
programmed.
fans who don't know Ring of Honor, who haven't really watched independent stuff no more, will get reeled in by Ring of Honor, and then you see the up-and-coming guys. 'Cause I really enjoyed. I never knew really how good. I knew how good Austin Aries was, but I saw Austin Aries versus Bryan Danielson, and I really
Austin Aries knows how good Austin Aries is.
I remembered, and now I know how good Bryan Danielson is. Bryan Danielson is like a Dean Malenko in my eyes, man. He's wrestling personified, like pure wrestling to me.
He's working on 1,000, I think, too.
Yeah, and he finished the match in a triangle choke, not the choke shin hook thing Undertaker does, like a MMA triangle choke. And I was like, this kid, I want to see more of this guy. I have found my alternative to the alternative that was TNA.
Elliot, good points, and thank you so much for calling into the show this week. As usual, good job there with your comments. Let's continue on the phone lines here. We've got another caller, Rob from Syracuse, New York, I believe. Rob, you are live on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
How you guys doing on this Monday evening?
We're doing. What's your thoughts on the draft?
Thoughts on the draft? Very, how you say?
Yeah, exactly.
Very,
average.
What the hell is the word I'm looking for here? Yeah, that, and it was very, you could see every draft pick coming, especially when the women's champion left. You knew the Divas champion was going to Raw. When you saw the U.S. title leave, you knew the Intercontinental champion was going to SmackDown. And I'm going to make a bold prediction. I see Edge winning the WWE World Heavyweight title, bring it back to SmackDown.
Okay.
Yeah. But now, will he win it in a fashion?
The World Heavyweight, I think, is the one that Edge is going for, right? He's going against Cena. Yeah, it's the World Heavyweight.
But will he win it in a fashion that is, it's not contrived at the beginning. It's an actual full match, and he wins it, clean.
He will win it clean, I think, because with Vicky seemingly out of the way, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because that storyline is now all fubbed up along with the Hardy storyline because of the draft. It just kind of
it's definitely blurry.
But I got a question for you guys because I'm now noticing the color and broadcast teams.
Okay.
Who is the color analyst on SmackDown now?
It's Grisham. JR
I think it's
specifically
JR.
said no. Did you say who's the color? Because
Who's the color?
JR. Because JR has said in his blog at the BBQ Barbacast or whatever it is that he is going to be a color commentator now.
Because he knows what's going on in the ring?
Correct.
Because he's been there before? He does have a win over Triple H, I guess.
I think he's got enough time in the business and enough experience doing commentary where I think, JR, he's another one of those people. A caller earlier was talking about who's going to retire soon. JR, he's got a pretty fat contract with WWE, so it doesn't make sense for him to leave. But at the same time, he's expanding his private business a little more, and he's got 2 restaurants now. Obviously, that's got to take up a bunch of his time. And I think that after tonight, especially staying on SmackDown for another year or however long it may be, I'm not sure that's something he wants to do, to be honest with you. And, I think this role makes sense for him. I was hoping to see a consolidated 3-man team across all brands. That seems to make some sense. Across Raw and SmackDown, and leave Grisham and Stryker on ECW, because I'm really going to miss hearing Grisham and Stryker together. I thought they did an excellent job.
And Josh seems a little lost.
But remember, it's only his second time back to commentary. The last time he did commentary was Velocity on Saturday nights, and he had to carry the show because he had Ernest the Cat Miller,
who was more than lost. He wasn't even there, basically.
No, because
Somebody
he's been doing play-by-play down in Florida Championship Wrestling with the American Dream Dusty Rhodes.
In the belly welly. That is true. A little-known secret. Josh Matthews and Dusty Rhodes down in Tampa working FCW shows, doing commentary for that. Josh, we've got a special place for Josh because he was on this program. Actually, one of the old hosts of the show, Marty DeRosa, a good friend of Josh Matthews. Childhood friend. From Indiana, and we had Josh on the show a couple of years back. You can see that at pwrshow.com as well. You didn't get a chance to check out that interview. But Josh, I think he does a good job, and I always wondered why they, even with all these announcer shakeups over the course of the last 6 months, why they hadn't used him. Rob from Syracuse, New York, the man who beat up Shawn Michaels in a bar several years back. Thank you so much for calling in. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
540 ESPN Text Club members get the breaking news on the Packers, Brewers, Badgers, and Bucks. Sign up today at ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN as we celebrate Pure Evil. Theme of Bret Hart. I've looked into his eyes. He's pure evil. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, and the Cause, here live Monday night, April 13, 2009. We had a special start time of 8:30 p.m. with our live coverage of the 2009 WWE Draft. Just a few minutes left in the program here. However, we still want to hear what you guys thought of the draft. You can call us live, the number 276-ESPN, 276-3776, or 1-800-990-3776. We are live Monday night, April 13th. We've got a new episode of PWR TV coming Friday, Time Warner Cable Channel 14, right after WWE Smackdown. And make sure you check that out as well. And check us out at pwrshow.com, where the Chatmosphere is going live right now.
I'm disappointed. The show was...
You didn't like my return from break?
No.
You want me to start over?
No.
Was it the Bret Hart music?
No. The show was basically the draft. We want you to watch for the draft. It didn't end with the draft. There should have been a draft choice at the end of the program.
A draft main event.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It should have happened at the end.
That's what Montel says.
One last big draft pick would not have been the end of the world. I think we're on something,
they
Frank.
started with a draft choice, so why don't you end it with a big shocking thing? You know, again, I'm not going to bring up the Randy Orton thing anymore, but something that was like, wow, that would have never have happened. And maybe it would have been something like an Undertaker or Shawn Michaels switching, and to end it. Or, I don't know, but just something to like, wow, that really left me wanting to watch Raw next week. Now we get to see Triple H and Randy Orton, which, will be okay, but, we watched a 3-hour show for that? No. It should have been more on the draft, and it didn't end that way. I'm disappointed.
Let's go to the phone line. Steve from Heartland, Wisconsin. You're live on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, what's up, Steve?
Not much. Just wanted to talk about the supplemental draft on Wednesday.
Okay.
Now, just one quick question. I haven't actually seen the supplemental draft online. I'm not sure if they did it. I think they did it last year, but do they stream it online?
It's not. Well, who knows what they're going to do this year? But
updated?
last year they just had different picks announced throughout the course of the day. And
Right.
It seems like that's going to be the case.
That's to get you to hit the website. I mean, that's to say that we had this many unique visits to the web page and page loads and
it's all about business.
Now, I'm hoping a few different guys that aren't getting plugged too much, like, of course, William Regal, because, he's my guy, but I would actually like to see some of these guys that, like a Regal or someone like that, be able to go to ECW to actually get more of a push, and maybe be in contention to actually get a title, finally. But because to be honest with you, I actually really did not like ECW for a long time. I mean, it was okay for a while, but now I really like it because it's a lot of pure wrestling and it's basically wrestling, not a lot of backstage stuff, and I really like it a lot. And I'm hoping to see some of those guys over there. Who do you see, if you see anybody going over there that could make an impact?
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because we tried to do a segment before Damien got all upset about the Backstreet Boys reference again. But we asked 3 guys, who do you think is going to move in the supplemental, and Damien's going to tell you his 3 right now.
Okay.
I think we need to, who I think we're going to see move, I think we're going to see people like, I think probably, I got to say, a Mike Knox.
And his
Goody.
I gotta say,
The Berserker lookalike, all right.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to make any big splashes with this supplemental. So people like a Mike Knox, perhaps you've got a Chavo. No, Chavo wouldn't move. That wouldn't make any sense.
Chavo needs to be where Vicky is because somebody's got to push the wheelchair.
A D.H. Smith, maybe a Kali to ECW. That would make some sense.
Here, how about all the
Someone's
smarts
going to ECW.
How about all the smarts of the IWC We can put all the Hart Foundation people together and maybe do a Hart Foundation finally.
There you go. I'm liking that. But I went to the WWE website and I saw they had like a little mock thing of where you could predict where you want everybody, and they had D.H. Smith on there. When's the last time that cat's been on TV?
No, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time he was on.
Who was that again?
D.H. Smith.
D.H. Smith.
Yeah, he's busy puffing up.
Do you see? I know I push it a lot, but do you see Regal getting any kind of love here at all? Maybe going to Smackdown or ECW getting a little bit more of a push, or not really?
Nah.
No, I don't see Regal going anywhere, and I think Regal's just gonna.
I always like Regal in that general manager type role, where he can really just become a heel in that way. Wrestling, I think he's okay as a wrestler, does what he needs to do, but I like him in a role where he can be mocked.
I liked him when he turned the lights off. Yeah,
that was good.
Stuff like that.
He was
He's
general manager
because he's funny.
He is. I would like him, like if they could do a stable and that they could do a stable in ECW or something with him and Burchell and Katie Lee and Layla. I think
possible.
Kind of neat. But anyways, thanks for the time, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for calling from Heartland. Let's continue on the phone lines. Remember, you can join us, folks, at number 276-ESPN, 276-3776, or 1-800-990, ESPN, 1-800-990-3776. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. Let's welcome Sam from Dallas, Texas, to the show.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, Sam. Welcome, Sam. Damien got me excited there. Normally that's our friend Sam from Ireland, but welcome from Texas. Did you go to Wrestlemania?
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay.
And just want to say, besides Randy Orton not winning the title, which I think was a bunch of BS,
okay,
the show was pretty good. Just from Undertaker, Shawn Michaels alone just took it from me, but with the whole Santina Morella, I don't know why I laughed at it, but it was
Santino's funny. So is Santina.
Yeah, and then the whole Money in the Bank with Shelton Benjamin, I was hoping he would win it, but they're never going to let him win. I don't know why. But
hey, both of us being there live, Sam, not only did Shelton Benjamin go to the top of the ladder when he did that, I think it was a backflip spot, but all 73,000 people in the Reliance Stadium stood up as well in anticipation. That was pretty awesome, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking, I'm thinking, oh, man, he's going to jump from the ladder. I'm thinking, no, he's not going to jump from the ladder. And then he jumped. I said, I hope he's not dead. I mean, it was crazy. It was
we
just...
could channel JR. Good God Almighty! Good God Almighty! That killed him!
Yeah, and then and tonight on the draft, I mean, I'm pretty sure Christian didn't get drafted, did he?
No. Christian was in a match, and he won the draft pick for ECW in his match.
I was just expecting him to get drafted to Smackdown so he could have a feud with Edge, and probably Edge would win the World Championship at Backlash.
That could be a supplemental thing.
And everybody keeps wanting that. I don't think we can do it right now. I think we got to wait a little bit.
Everybody keeps wanting something to happen with Christian. I think that's pretty prevalent. The tone of the callers, the tone of the context we've gotten on the site. People want to see something bigger happen with Christian, and everyone's, of course, blaming it on McMahon's dislike for him, which is unconfirmed.
Which is
true.
Just insane, I think, because Christian's on TV every time.
Yeah, it's just I mean, if you're going to bring the guy back, I can understand if you want to wait 3 months, just let him build up his cut, I guess, get him back with the flow, but sooner or later, you got to do something with him. If he's just going to be on ECW going after Jack Swagger, I mean...
How long was it before Chris Jericho was doing anything important on WWE TV? How long was it before Booker T did anything important?
Are you talking about his first time or his second time?
I'm talking about Jericho's first run. Even in his second run, Jericho had a hot feud to start with Randy Orton, and all of a sudden...
Yeah, that was just I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, so the fact that everybody's upset, and it sounds like we're upset about it too, we want to see something done with Christian. Vince doesn't hate Christian, but we want to see something done better with Christian. So, Sam, we appreciate your time on the program.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sam, thanks for calling in. Again, this is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. We'll go over for you one more time if you didn't catch WWE Raw tonight, or if you're just joining us here at a regular time. We did start just a little while ago. 2 hours ago. We're going off the air in a few minutes, but here are the draft picks from tonight. Going to SmackDown, Melina, CM Punk, Kane, Chris Jericho, and Rey Mysterio. Going to Raw, MVP Big Show, Matt Hardy, Triple H, The Miz, and Maurice. And going to ECW is Vladimir Kozlov. And, of course, you remember, look at that Miz and Morrison situation. At WrestleMania, a lot of people were surprised that Primo and Carlito went over in that matchup. Now this makes a little more sense because the Cologne's getting the push. Well, obviously, they were going to be kept together as a tag team.
I don't think they're getting the push so much as they're getting the belt. They're getting the belt only because the fact that they were going to break up Miz and Morrison. So they got the belts by default.
Well,
if you
Frank,
want to be...
do you think Miz and Morrison are ready for a singles run?
Yeah.
Every draft, we see a team split up, and we see that singles run potential happen. It's been somewhat successful with the Hardys, but do you think both The Miz and Morrison, because they play off of each other really well, especially with the dirt sheet on WWE.com, they play off of each other really well. Do you think that they're ready? Do you think they're ready to be primetime players, if you will?
Absolutely. If you're not going to push tag team wrestling in the WWE at all, then make these guys singles wrestlers. I think both of them have great potential to become singles wrestlers, but we need to hear them on the stick a little bit more.
Well, Miz is okay. Miz has been pretty good on the microphone. Morrison is very monotone but entertaining at times.
Yeah. Maybe give them a new gimmick.
No, I don't see a new gimmick coming up for Morrison at all. John Morrison is the gimmick.
Yeah.
He's, the music, the entrance, the slow-mo, hair feathered, the whole thing, that is the gimmick for him.
I could see both of them
maybe
doing
a
well.
tweak. Miz maybe a tweak. But again, we're talking about tag team belts.
Yeah, one of them where they could say, I was disrespected. I couldn't move up because I was always having to carry the other guy. You can make him a heel to start off. So it would work.
Miz.
Yeah.
Miz, that's Miz, because remember, Miz attacked Morrison once they were announced that they were split up.
So Miz can do that, and now he got drafted to
he got drafted to Raw.
Raw.
Miz did. But now talking about the tag team belts, if the Colons are going to have the tag team belts, and I keep doing that on purpose. If the Colons are going to be the guys with the tag team belts, I want the Bayview. All right.
Oh well.
It's over.
For those that don't.
Literally.
It's not.
Literally.
We're not going to do play-by-play on baseball here. Look at that. That's 2 errors on one play.
Little League.
Okay. Anyway, for those that don't know, we're going to be going until the end of the program here. Anyways, we're talking about the tag belts. Now, for the Colons to have the tag belts, they have a plethora of tag teams actually sitting around.
A plethora?
Yes, thank you. Sitting around on SmackDown. If they want to make something of the tag team belts, I think they keep a tag team division on SmackDown and actually build something of it. Do a tag team title tournament. Do, something. You could even put the tag teams on ECW if you really want to do something with ECW.
That's true.
So,
yeah, but
I don't know.
Tag team and ECW, they just got to keep pushing tag team wrestling.
Let's remember the match, though, between Morrison and HBK from a couple of months ago. That showed how good Morrison could be. Just think of the progression Morrison has made from Johnny Nitro to John Morrison and the talent that he has and the star power that he potentially has. Think of The Miz when he was the Red Rooster 2006 or 2007.
Hoorah!
Getting yelled at by JBL every week on SmackDown. And he was a joke. He was a laughingstock. Look at where these two men have come over the course of the last 2 years, and mostly because of them being paired in a tag team. I think that it is certainly time to take a chance to see if they can do it on a singles ranks.
Yeah, I agree with that. But what I'd like to see is if they are going to push one of these guys, then make it a full push, not halfway and then go, okay, we'll just give it to somebody else.
Indeed, this is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. We want to remind you we've got a brand new episode of PWR TV coming to the website on Wednesday. We're going to talk about a full preview, of TNA Lockdown coming up this Sunday on pay-per-view. Every match happens in a steel cage, and I'm actually going to be in the Impact Zone next Tuesday and Wednesday for the tapings. So hopefully going to be bringing back some
swag,
special surprises for all of the viewers and listeners out there. But that's
You're
Lockdown.
Maybe
that's all
talent,
I'm saying. The Lockdown on pay-per-view this Sunday night. We'll have the PWR mobile updates as well, so make sure you sign up if you haven't done so already at pwrshow.com. And check out the WrestleMania coverage as well. First time on screen with Bill and Doug was myself from Houston
and
at the Reliance Stadium. Bill and Doug not able to join us tonight due to our special start time. They'll be back on next week with Bill and Doug Uncut as well. And you're always counting on or you're always able to count on getting a unique opinion from those two gentlemen right here on the Pro Wrestling Report. We will be back on at 10 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, our regular time, so all the lovers and haters can join us as well at PWRshow.com and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Hey, a listener's a listener. Let's just put it that way. At ESPNMilwaukee.com and PWRshow.com. Next week, 10 o'clock, we'll have coverage of TNA Lockdown on pay-per-view. Thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you Wednesday at PWRshow.com for PWR TV and Friday on Channel 14 right after WWE Smackdown, 9 o'clock p.m. In southeastern Wisconsin. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.